You're walking in the woods. There's no one around and your phone is dead. Out of the corner of your eye, you spot him.
Hello, my name is Graham and I'm a GM at RPG Nook, and I'm here with Orf, one of my other GMs, to discuss and talk about ties that bind. Say hello, Orf.
Hello, everyone.
Okay, so we'll get stuck straight into this one because it's been, almost on the docket to be done one or two times before, and we're kind of like anxious to get going with this one. Ties that Bind is going to be found in the Chaosium's Door to Darkness book, which is for beginner GMs, and it's one of our least favourites among the five. Is that right?
Yeah, well, at least personally, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen a hell of a lot of praise for it anywhere online, unfortunately, and it's been. I don't know. It's not been talked about as much as Genus Loci or Servants of the Lake and that sort of thing.
Yeah, well, I guess that's probably why it hasn't got a very fancy front cover, because all the others are more like, they appear more interesting from the front cover, let's put it that way.
Okay, yeah. So Ties That Bind is set in Arkham, sort of, and Ipswich, sort of, in the 1920s. It's dealing with the investigation of the finding of banana-like stones. What was your first impressions of this scenario? What do you think of the tone, the mood of it? Do you think it was compelling, like a moody story, a creepy sort of noir detective story?
No, I wouldn't put it like that. It's well, before we start lampooning the scenario, I want to say that every scenario has some good ideas, and every scenario treats them in its own separate way, and that comes out to different people as different outcomes. But yeah, I don't think that the good parts of this scenario were handled pretty well. There isn't that much of an investigation that can happen. There are some limited role-playing opportunities, and there is a nice finale that I really like the finale, but it's really unattached to the rest of the story. At least that's how I see it.
Yeah, my first impressions of it were confusing. I would say that was the first word that came to mind. I was confused about why it was so simple at the start, and then confused why we were doing other things. It does seem like a lot of stuff's been crammed in here. There is a way to make this scenario good. I'm almost certain of it, and we'll get into that at the end. It just needs to be heavily edited down to a couple scenes. I think that we can actually go and visit 6 or 7 different places in this, and a lot of them aren't covered at all, like the Arkham University, the Arkham Asylum, libraries, things like that.
Yeah, almost nothing is covered apart from the major location scenes, but even they are not thoroughly explained. For example, the hotel that Hackett lives in, that we will mention further.
Yeah, no, that's not discussed at all, apart from the room, really, is it?
Well, this also creates another massive problem that I'm going to also mention when we get there. But
all right, okay.
Yeah, it has a lack of information for the amount of information and locations that it provides. You have to do a lot of things yourself if you want to run it in detail.
Yeah, for a new keeper, this is going to be a hard one to get your head around. I still remember you running this, and we had to take 2 sessions because it was getting confusing and we're getting bogged down, and no one really had a clue what was going on.
Yeah, and I'm going to have to add to that I had to massively rewrite the second part of the scenario, the second session we did, because exactly no one knew what was going on, and there wasn't any clue from what to go from what you had,
Yeah.
And that's another problem of the scenario that I'm going to mention later.
Right, okay. Fair enough. Do you think the layout and ease of access of the scenario kind of hampered the information as well? I noticed some of the scenes are completely in the wrong place for me. Like the crime scene at the house is right at the back before the conclusion.
Really? I haven't even noticed that.
Yeah, it's like it should be next to the mama thing. In case you're not there, it's like saying, "Well, this is there." But yeah, I found the layout to be a little bit silly, and because it's on a time schedule, it's not very well organised. At least for me, I was always flipping back and forth. But the main thing that was a problem was I kept on writing "Y" next to things. That was my main problem.
Yeah, I have to say that having a second look over it, I have almost the same questions on every paragraph. There are things that are very questionable as to why they're there. For example, the schedule, since you mentioned it.
Yeah.
It's a nice idea to have a schedule for the NPCs, but this creates the major problem that the players can be left completely out of the whole thing if they miss everything. And as a GM, you can do everything you can to kind of not railroad them and push them towards that direction. But even still, it's up to them essentially.
Yeah, I think a lot of the problems come down to the hook. So let's start talking about the setup and the intro and the hook. I felt that the place you're meant to begin is the wrong place entirely. You were given a hook that the lady of the mansion, I can't remember her name actually.
Enid Carrington?
That's the one, Carrington. Yeah, she essentially has a lot of power and wealth and calls in pretty much everyone. From investigators to people from the Arkham the Masonic University, police, and everyone else you can get hold of, journalists, whatever. And you've got such a plethora of options to play, and they can all come in at different places. I think that was a massive mistake, because it means you have to give options all the way through the book for all these different things.
Yeah. Well, since we're on the Carrington matter, I want to say that if anyone is going to run it, you don't need to run with the whole of the family. It's kind of redundant to have the extended family even existing. The story would be much simpler, and it would be much better to deal with as a GM and as the players, and it would be much more effective as a plot if Enid is a widow and Mary is her only child. And, you won't have to just go to other people to get essentially nothing for the scenario. This is one thing that particularly annoyed me, having to prepare for family when there was nothing that could be added from them on.
Yeah, ironically, one of the people in the family, the middle son, who's the most relevant to the case because he's studying mysticism and occultism or something like that at the university.
Yep.
He's the most relevant to any of this plot, but everyone else seems to get dragged into it apart from the father. So it seems a bit sort of round the wrong way. Let's talk about the opening scene, how it's set out. You are confronted with almost like a crime scene, a house that's being built in the middle of nowhere. You have a destroyed fountain, and you have these mysterious shaped stones, which look like petrified bananas, I believe. It's got the texture of shells or coral.
Yeah, almost akin to pearls, they kind of describe it. There's also the scratchings on the fountain that
it's been destroyed.
Is a dead giveaway, if you ask me. It completely removes the tension, seeing huge scratches of an animal.
Yeah, I mean, we immediately said that these are eggs and something's landed there and given birth, and we're going to give it the eggs back. I think we pretty much did that.
Yep, but the scenario was over in the first 5 minutes, essentially. You just couldn't find the clues on how to do it.
Yeah, we just couldn't figure out what was left because we didn't have a hook into Hackett at all. But you can, pretty much solve this, most of this scenario in about 20 minutes. I will say another couple of things about the opening. The map isn't great, and some of the things kind of left me scratching my head. Like why there's a underground like lockup in the middle of nowhere with all their valuables when the father's a billionaire banker who has access to vaults and things. It seems a bit bizarre.
Yeah, it's well, I'm gonna say it with a heavy heart, but lots of things in the scenario feel contrived. Nothing almost comes in natural.
Yeah, it's almost like I need something to happen here, so this is going to be it, basically. Yeah. So this, if I was honest, I'd cut this entire scene. I'd cut the whole thing out, take Mrs. Carrington out, and she'd pretty much start with the crime scene at Hackett's bedroom, and make the players to be police officers, or at least reporters or investigators for that.
Yeah, they should be involved somehow by that, but the scenario also says that they could be a geologist or something like that. I really don't think a geologist would be good.
You'd have to change the whole scenario. It's far too much work for a beginner GM. I did suggest after the game, I think, that you could have it as these eggs are being put on display at the Mistonic University. The Wyke comes in and takes the eggs, causes a ruckus, and flies off with them, and then you're hunting this Wyke through the swamps. And that would lead in nicely to the swamp area. Almost like if you ever read The Lost World, the sort of like the pterodactyl gets out in the theatre. It really reminded me of that, and really had a strong sort of connection going, oh, that's really cool, this could be a really interesting, great thing to happen. But that just doesn't happen.
Yeah, no, I haven't read the book, but I've seen the movie with Brandon Fraser.
Yeah. So it's got good concepts, and it's just, if I'm honest, I would almost say maybe if it was more heavily edited, it would have been tighter.
I wouldn't say that it's just the editor's fault. Well, I mean, fault.
I'm just saying it's kind of like a joint. Yeah, it's a group effort.
But both the writer of the scenario has some things that I don't think he safe-proofed, let's say. For example, something that I'm looking at now. He proposes that most players must be of some affiliation with the police or something scientific, or an organization that, they could have an immediate affiliation with the case. However, this creates a major problem because the scenario assumes that you won't let them have the eggs. However, any official, as in police or coming from a university or anything like that, would have the power to just confiscate the goods and take them to the university or the city hall or wherever he wants to take them. Especially since this is a crime scene and Mrs. Carrington has called all of those officials there.
Yeah.
And that kind of derails the whole of the scenario, and I pity the GM that will have to run that.
Well, you did. I didn't. I was just a mere player. Going to player motives straight away then, yeah, there's a lot of, not player motives, NPC motives are kind of a bit off in here. You have Mr. Hackett, one of my favourite ever characters in any scenario. He is an absolute psychopath. This guy steals a banana-shaped egg and puts it down his trousers or in his pocket. No one notices these massive bulge, and he just walks off the site with it. That is genius. That is very, very good. And what's he going to do with it, Orf? What's his plan?
Well, his genius plan is to propose to give it as a gift to the daughter of Mrs. Carrington, from which he has stolen it from. So, do the math.
Yeah, I would like to read you a handout one. Dearest Mary, I don't think you even know me, but I know you. You see, I work on your house. I'm not a gentleman like you deserve, but I'm a good man with strong hands and a good heart. You may think this is sudden, but I have come to care for you. I have seen you, and I watched you when you came to the site. And I want to see you again. I have a gift for you that I think you might like. I shall bring it to your dormitory tomorrow. I mean, that's only half of it, and that's pretty damn creepy, right?
Yep. Especially considering he's only seen her once.
Yeah, so he steals from our mother to give her the egg that he thinks is, pretty. Yeah, a pearl sort of stone or something like that. I mean, she's studying biology, so I mean, he doesn't even know that, really. I don't even know how he knows she's at the university, to be honest, because he's only seen her from a distance.
He could have asked around, but yeah, the scenario doesn't provide any background to that. He just finds here. Well, provided he is the creep he appears to be, I am willing to believe that he just finds.
Hey, he's just misunderstood. But the craziness doesn't stop there. Mary actually responds to this and goes to see the egg in time as well. But we'll get to that in a minute as well. But yeah, I'd say this first whole part just needs scrapped, and it just needs to start in the actual bedroom of Alfred Hackett. Would you agree that's probably the best way?
Yep, either as investigators of the university going in to find what's that egg about that Mary informed them about, or after the imminent massacre that is about to.
Yeah, it's it goes back and forth with these handouts, and the second one basically is Alfred decrying that this is indeed an egg. I'm not sure how he figures that out.
It is explained that he wants to clean it in order for him to give it to her as a gift.
He boils it.
So he puts it in a boiling water tank or something like that, and she leaves it there overnight.
Yeah.
Apparently. In the morning, he finds out that there's something kind of swimming inside the egg, as it's more translucent and more milky.
Now, I know you cook, and I cook as well. What would happen to a stove left on all night with a water in a pan? Would that evaporate and start burning?
Yeah, well, first of all, the water will have evaporated, but apart from that...
Yeah, it's not the cleverest of ideas.
I'm wondering about the era, though. Could it be that an oven would be open all night and not catch on fire? That would be also another interesting start to the scenario, a fire starting and a thing coming out.
Yeah, I would probably say a burst from fire would have probably been pretty good. But at any rate, that's neither here nor there. Mary turns up with her professor, who she manages to convince that this guy is legit. Instead of bringing the egg to them, but I think we did. Did we bring the egg to biology professor? I think we did.
You did, yeah, but I think you left it with him and you never came back to see what happened with it, even after consecutive scenarios after that in the same day.
Yeah, I remember you having to come up with the name Dr. Frankenstein. I think that's what you used.
I think I did a little play on Frankenstein. It wasn't exactly Frankenstein, but it was something like that. Frankenstool, I think.
Yeah, I think the other player decided it was that you had just made that up on the spot, and then it wasn't a big deal, so we just didn't go back. I think that's what kind of happened there. But it's neither here nor there. We end up in the Hackett house with all the mayhem, and you find these handouts going back and forth with Hackett and Mary, pretty much explaining the plot to you. They're not hard to find either. So yeah.
I think that there's a major problem again into the scenario at this point, into the Hackett residence, because he lives at a motel, which he's not the only resident of. And the way it's described, giant Biaki just barges in and destroys the place. And it's not really put in a way that, I don't know, it doesn't come normally.
Yeah, it's not natural.
It's not natural, yeah. It should be that the whole of the town should be raised at a state of alarm, and that there would be policemen out, and people, first of all, would have gone insane from seeing the Biaki. It's only 10 o'clock at night that this happens.
Yeah, people would be still awake, and the landlady would definitely still be awake. You'd have the reporters there, you'd have police there, everyone sort of conflicting stories. There's quite a lot of good roleplay opportunities there, actually, to throw in red herrings and stuff like that. But yeah, it's not really covered. I don't think this is meant to be a big part of the scenario, because there's a lot going on. From here, you can go to the library, the asylum, or I think just the university in general.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Mary gets comatose and taken to the asylum, and that's where you're meant to meet her brother, who pretty much info dumps you on what you're meant to be doing next.
Yeah, again, it feels contrived. It doesn't feel like the investigators found anything. They didn't discover anything. They just
No, it's it's
were
completely
displaced from scene to scene.
it's completely contrived. You're correct. I mean, this is essentially one scenario. I'd say this the first scene and this, and then the asylum. That's one scenario. That's a whole scenario doing that, and then you have the bikey to fight or give these things back to, and then all of a sudden you're into a second scenario where you have this marsh witch appear, and they just give you all. Sorry.
Oh, she's a witch now?
Is he a witch? I thought, is it a marsh witch?
She's a marsh wizard.
Oh, sorry, a wizard. Apologies. Yeah, he just appears. You're given all this information about, oh, this must be connected to this for no reason, really. I mean, the egg doesn't really make much sense there. The description of the marsh wizard's mount and the actual thing you find don't really match up too well either.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a legend,
Yeah.
kind of torn away by time. But yeah, again, it doesn't feel like there's any connection, any natural connection that, oh yeah, that goes from here to there. Just a random sequence of scenes that culminates to a dynamic finale. That's it.
Yeah, it's basically who the hell is Andrew Lehman, and then you've got to go and find out and all the rest of it. If I was going to run this scenario, which I won't, or I don't think I've got the, I'd have to rewrite most of it, I think, because I'd get annoyed.
Yeah.
I'd have Andrew Lehman there at the start. I'd have him having police radio or something, and then knowing about what's happening at the dig site or the construction site. Have him turn up and be an absolute nuisance and get carried away, and then keep having him turned up as this guy who's determined to, the utter crazy man at the university, always protesting that they're holding back information or something, some sort of grand conspiracist sort of thing.
Yeah, that would actually work pretty well, and that could be the start even of the scenario.
Yeah, I mean, it would give a reason for the entire start, other than the eggs. I mean, when the bikie shows up, I think, did Kata not kill it in one punch? The bikie? Or something like that?
Well, I kind of rewrote the first part before playing it, and I actually introduced a smaller Biaki that the mother had called for help, so she killed the it's a child Biaki, but not exactly a child, a teenage Biaki, while the mother was searching for the other.
I see, right. Yeah, it seemed like a very easy fight. Stan had no problem with that at all. And he
yeah, well, Stan is fucking OP, man.
He's a machine.
He really can just demolish everything. He's the one that even killed the mama Biaki that are buffed up.
Yeah, he punched that to death too.
Yep.
So yeah, there's a pre-gen you should probably edit, I would say. But yeah, going back to the sort of lead into the marshes, you've got Andrew Liam. You're meant to go up and find him, and then you're taken into the marshes. Again, there's not a lot of deduction to be done here. You're just led into it.
I mean, yeah. Yeah, essentially, there's nothing you will find out there. Actually, there is a flute, or the whistle, however you want to put it.
Is that not found in the marshes?
Yeah, what are we talking about, the marshes?
Oh yeah, that's before we get to just Andrew Lehman's house and like having to rent the boat. And all. I mean, you literally have to go up to Ipswich, and then I think we went to the police station as well at Ipswich, because it's a completely different area from where you start Arkham.
Yeah, actually, does it start at Arkham? I think it starts at an area.
Yeah, it starts outside Arkham, and then Hackett's residence is on the outskirts of Arkham, and then you've got the Mississauga University, which is in Arkham.
Oh yeah, you're right. I just rewrote some of those things.
And all right, fair enough. Yeah, it's like it's spread out all over the sort of entire state. really.
Yeah, you'll have to do some traveling, and that really doesn't help, especially with the set schedules of the NPCs.
Yeah, if you want to run it tight and have the Bikey and Hackett act in sort of tandem with what they're meant to be doing each time, it's going to be a difficult one for the NPCs to get, the players to actually understand that they're on a timer as well. There's nothing to indicate really they're on a timer.
Yeah, well, I guess as characters, yeah, there's nothing. As players, there might be as soon as they meta realize that those are eggs. That should be about 5 to 10 minutes into the scenario.
Yeah, but the one that hatches is like boiled to hatch. The other ones, I mean, I guess yeah. The point, I think it does actually mention that they should be scared because they don't realize it's been boiled. Yeah, maybe. Be a little bit critical there.
Again, contrived. It's way too many details for nothing new to learn, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would scrap the timeline for Hackett entirely and just have him already dead. And that's, if you go there, you find him. If you go to the dorm room, have the dorm friend say, "Oh, she went to see this guy at here," and that's how you lead into that, I suppose. There's no other reason to have them show up and watch the baby Bikey get fed by the professor and all the rest of it. It's just it's not necessary at all, especially since the scenario is so long already. I will say that one of the best RP scenes we had was on the boat with Stan going insane and killing Andrew Lehman. That was fun.
Yeah, that was very nice, though it was very situational. And
it was just because he was on silent,
yeah, due to all the other previous scenarios that had led.
Yeah, I will say that was quite cool. But then you actually took out the what do you call them? It's the wood imps or whatever they're called.
Actually, I think I introduced only mud ones, just to kind of slow you down, because I mean the scenario as is presented, it all culminates in a fight. It's a very slim chance that people will actually perform the ritual written on a very random piece of paper they find out in the masses.
Yeah,
especially when they face a monster in front of them, they're just gonna fight it or run away, but they have nowhere to run away to. So
yeah, I feel they're put here for a fight, because if they're not here and no one blows the flute, then the scenario ends with a sort of whimper. There's nothing here to happen. It's just like, oh well, I guess we go home then.
Now that you mention it, this could be circumvented by having the Biaki, by having actually the eggs of the Biaki kind of split up and all put in different places. I don't know how that would be set up, either by the players or the GM. So even when they go to the marshes and find the flute, they can come back thinking that, okay, it's over, it's gone, or whatever. And then it would go on an egg by egg basis, go and find them or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, you could have the university professor give them to colleagues to examine or something like that. That would be a way to do it, but I mean, you'd probably be sending them across cross country or whatever. So maybe it's not the best way.
Yeah, still it's messy.
Yeah,
it doesn't really wrap up.
Yeah, unfortunately not. But the marshes itself are quite cool. They're a nice spooky place. It's the first location which I thought had atmosphere and was worth sort of really going into depth with RP. It was nice and creepy, and the island was quite nicely set up, but there just wasn't a lot to do. We kind of found everything that was kind of lying out in the sort of small encampment. We found out, oh look, he killed himself, and this Bikey is well, part of this guy's ritual or sort of his steed, which is a little bit mundane, to be honest. It's not like it's not a big plot or anything like that. It's just like, oh, it's an everyday slice of life for this guy, and he just happened to screw it up.
Yeah, it's that part is not really a big finale.
Yeah. I know.
But I really like Wyke, so I
Yeah,
really like the fighter.
you've used them a few
Well,
times. We've even flown back from the moon with on a bikey.
yeah, that you did.
Yeah, so there's a lot to discover here, and there's some nice little interesting things you can find, like the flute, and his huts have some nice things, like there's the ritual sacrifice piles and things like that. You can't play with the guys, the player Santi quite a bit. Would you, if you went to play this again, would you put the elementals back in and do them properly? Because you're meant to be able to kill them, but not kill them, and then you've got to do the thing with the pillars.
Yeah, you did that actually. Don't you remember?
I can't remember that.
Yeah,
No?
yeah. You killed them a few times, and after killing them a few times, you called your night god.
Yeah, critical
And,
success. Thank you very much. Remember that?
Yeah, and it actually, I think it was it that figured out that the things were actually kind of regenerating from the emblems or whatever it was. And you destroyed them afterwards.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe I've just forgotten. It's been over a year, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been a while.
But I wouldn't use them at all, actually, if I ran it the second time. There wouldn't be anything. It would be just a desecrated camp, seemingly just left to rot.
Yeah.
And I would change actually a great deal of things. It wouldn't, the whole thing wouldn't have happened a few days before. It happened years before, so there wouldn't be an immediate connection, and there would be something to actually investigate.
That would work more
for the future.
Yeah, one of the things which bothered me the most about the Bikey's motives, the Bikey, first of all, decides to leave this isolated island in a swamp to go to a construction near people to have its eggs, rather than this quiet swamp. I mean, Bikeys are meant to be as intelligent as humans. That annoyed me. It seems like it should have stayed where it was. The second thing that annoyed me is that when it had the egg, it went, right, I'm going off home and leaving these eggs unattended so I can recharge my batteries. It's like, why wouldn't she just rest on the island?
Yep.
Yeah, she should be here all the time. This is exactly where she should be found. There should be a big nest of, like, you know, bodies that have been dragged back to feed her young and things like that. And this, you know, this guy, I mean, you can have the Lehman find one of the eggs, or find the island. Now it's been sort of dematerialized. It's like it's not. It meant so he could have stolen the egg, taken it back to the university as proof that the legend is true. Looking at the body of the wizard, maybe he takes a trinket off the wizard as well. Maybe the flute. But all the other ones hatch on the island, and you've got this throng of Bikey you've got to, like, you know, put down.
Yep, I really like that, but it's a whole different scenario.
Yeah,
again, as I said in the start, every scenario has its good points, and apparently this island is its good point.
Yeah, I mean, I quite like the idea of the swamps. I really liked them until I read the thing about the elementals. I thought they were a bit weird. And I'm not sure why the elementals wouldn't have killed the Bikey.
Apart from that, the elementals will almost certainly kill the party if anyone uses them as intended. No one will survive that, and they just regenerate.
They're crazy strong. It's not like you're coming here with shotguns and stuff. I don't think we had any weapons at all.
I think Stan had a gun.
Oh, maybe a handgun.
He didn't need a gun.
Yeah, I had what?
You had the night gun.
Yeah, well, yeah, I did have a night gun. It did nothing though, really. It didn't do a hell of a lot against. It just watched Stan punch another Bikey to death.
Well, actually, at some point it saved either you or Sarah.
I think it picked someone up. I guess. I'm maybe a little bit salty, but yeah. Overall, I mean, would you say it's better than The Haunting?
I wouldn't say so. No. It has a premise that could be maybe better than The Haunting as a premise, strictly speaking, as a premise, but it isn't handled adequately, to put it. Not that I could do better, not saying anything like that, just...
I don't know. I think this one, you know, You've certainly done a lot of work on things like the Blood Moon and stuff like that. You definitely could do. I just think this one would be better if you had Lehman steal the egg, take it to the university. The bikie break into the university. You have to chase the bikie back to the swamp. Big encounter at the end. End of story. That's it.
Yep, that would also fit in about a 3 to 4 hours session, so that's optimal.
Yeah, this is far too long as well. It's very meandering. There's a lot of characters in it as well for a new GM to really get their teeth into, and they're not really that well. Well, I suppose they are quite well fleshed out. They are not too badly fleshed out.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that too bad fleshed out, but there's no progression in it. I mean, for as long as it is, it doesn't really have any staples or how to put it, landmarks, something like that. You know, you find something, you find another thing, you find another, and all of it kind of rolls into an avalanche that ends the scenario. That doesn't happen. It's just a scene, then another scene. And if you have something figured out, then good. If not, you're going to get raided into the island, and then it ends, and that's just it, essentially. Yeah,
it's got its problems. But they all relate back to the initial start of why are we here at this construction site. But yeah, I mean, I guess you wouldn't play it again, though.
I would be very interested into playing it, not running it. See how someone else handles it.
Yeah, well, Verban was almost going to run it, but.
Oh, I think we put him off that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we put him off it. Maybe we can get him to run it and see how it goes. Maybe we can both play. That might be fun. See if someone else handles it. But other than that, I think that's everything. So leave what you think of the scenario and your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. And we'll see you another time.
See you around, people.